I'm going to talk about facial recognition and why I believe that this is a good thing. So the arguments against it, people say it's racist or that it will be abused, and the list goes on. I'm going to talk about the reasons why I'm for it and how to solve all the problems that people have. So, number one, you want the power to be in the hands of the people, not in the business, not in the government. So that means that if there's a surveillance system, people have to have access to it. So, for example, if you're getting a divorce and you're going to court and you need to prove that somebody cheated on you, you should be able to get your records from the surveillance system to prove that you're innocent or to prove that someone else did something that was a crime. So you want to make sure that there's protection so that nobody can get anybody's records. You have to go through some sort of a process where you apply for a subpoena, I guess it would be, to get the records. And I would say you should be able to do it for other situations. If you have a child that's missing, or if there's a car accident and you need to prove a case, it will help. It gives power to people. It proves truth. Now, the other issue is people will say it will be abused. And being abused means a person who is an employee will go in and use the system to research their friends or their family or business opposition, etc. I'm a computer programmer. It's an easy problem to fix. You just make sure that everyone has login credentials, which means that the person who's logging in, you know who that person is. That person has some sort of identification, which could be biometric, it could be a thumbprint, it could be the person's name, the employee ID number, etc. So a person is directly responsible for using that equipment. And you have to keep a record of everything that person did. If you have those safeguards in, the system won't be abused. And you have to make sure that even at the highest level, people can't abuse the system. And there's always going to be a cheat, with the NSA or the CIA. They're going to want to have a backdoor so that they can get in. But even they are going to want a record of what their employees are doing. They're not going to want their own employees to be abusing the system. They're just going to want an elevated top secret status. That you have to keep it so that it's safeguarded. And I think that, the technology is going to be developed. It's going to be implemented. It's already being used in various places. You're not going to be able to stop progress. You can have laws that ban its use, but you have to be careful because why shouldn't you be allowed to use it in your own personal home? Why shouldn't a business be allowed to use it on their property? Why shouldn't a school be allowed to use it in the school? And if a city government uses it, maybe there's going to be a city government that bans it, but I don't think there should be an all-out ban that prohibits anyone from using it. I think over time, it's the good things about it are better than the bad. I have had experiences with the government where the government is absolutely corrupt. There is absolutely corruption in the government. My experience is I had corruption with New York State. From what I understand, states like New York and California are very corrupt, but a small state like Kansas or Georgia is not going to be corrupt. And I never had any corruption with the federal government, but I've heard stories. I've known other people who've come across corruption where some business has influence or weird things happen. I know a guy who told me a story where someone tried to run him over with a car, and he knows that it was a setup. He was involved with a lawsuit that would have cost, millions of dollars, and people would have gone to jail and things like that. But the judges conspired against him. There's corruption out there. We need tools to reduce corruption, and there's always going to be corruption. It's not the software that's corrupt; it's people that are corrupt, and people are going to be corrupt with the software or without the software. I think that in general, it's a good thing. You remember caller ID? When someone calls you on the phone and you see the number and you know who's calling you. There was a time that didn't exist. And when it came about, it must have been in the late 1980s, people freaked out about it. They thought that all the privacy was going to go away, that people knew who you were calling, and now it's no big deal. So I really think it's not that big of a deal. And like I said, as long as the power is in the hands of the people and as long as you have backups, see, that's the way they're going to get around. They're going to say that the records disappeared. That's what will happen. But you make a way to secure the records. There's always going to be a loophole somewhere where someone's going to be able to take advantage of the system. But if you're a law-abiding system, if you're a law-abiding person, most people will not be affected by it. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.